Everything is dual. Everything has poles. Everything has its pair of opposites. Hot and cold, light and darkness, expansion and contraction, joy and sorrow, courage and fear. At first, opposites appear to be enemies, but the Hermetic teaching suggests something more subtle. Opposites are often just different points on the very same spectrum. Think of a thermometer. There is no separate substance called cold and another called heat. There is simply temperature expressing itself at different degrees. In the same way, courage and fear may seem like opposites. Yet courage often exists precisely because fear exists. Without darkness, the meaning of light becomes difficult to understand. You were never meant to pick sides. You were meant to transcend the illusion that sides exist at all. Life is a dance between contrasting experiences, the mountain and the valley. Imagine standing in a valley. Now, you may wish to climb the mountain because the valley feels low, but without the valley, there would be no mountain. The height of one gives meaning to the depth of the other. Our lives are very similar. We often want happiness without sadness, confidence without uncertainty, strength without struggle. But difficulties often give our strengths power to grow. Patience develops only because something is testing it. Courage develops because something frightens us. Wisdom develops because something confuses us. Compassion develops because we experience suffering. The darkness is not necessarily something that has gone wrong. Sometimes it is the background against which the light becomes visible. Applying duality to difficult emotions. Suppose you feel afraid. The usual reaction is to think, I must get rid of this fear. But why don't just try looking at it differently and ask yourself, what is this fear trying to show me? Perhaps it reveals something important to you. Perhaps it is pointing toward a risk that deserves attention. Perhaps it's standing at the edge of something meaningful. Fear and courage can coexist. In fact, courage without fear is often simply recklessness. Courage is what happens when you feel fear but choose to move wisely anyway. Find the opposite. When experiencing a difficult emotion, go ahead and ask yourself, what is the opposite quality I could cultivate here? Anger to patience, fear to courage, confusion to clarity, resentment to understanding, laziness to discipline, despair to hope. You are not denying the original emotion. You are moving along the spectrum. The scale of emotions. Imagine a dimmer switch controlling a lamp. There is not necessarily an absolute boundary between darkness and light. You can gradually turn the brightness upward. Our emotional states can work in a similar way. Perhaps you cannot instantly transform sadness into joy, but you may be able to move from sadness toward peace, from anger toward understanding, from anxiety toward presence, from confusion toward one small action. This is a much more realistic form of transformation. You do not have to leap across the entire spectrum at once. Move 1 degree at a time. Just 1 degree, and then another. The reframe. When something unpleasant happens, go ahead and ask yourself, what is the other side of this? Failure may contain information. Rejection may contain redirection. Solitude may contain an opportunity for self-understanding. A difficult conversation may contain an opportunity for honesty. A limitation may teach creativity. Now, this does not mean that every single painful event is secretly good. Some things are simply painful. But even pain can contain something that becomes useful. Knowledge, strength, clarity, or compassion. The question is not, how can I pretend that everything is good? The question is, what can I learn from what is real? Remaining in the middle. There is another important lesson in polarity. If you become obsessed with one extreme, you can lose your balance very easily. Too much ambition becomes exhaustion. Too much relaxation becomes stagnation. Too much confidence becomes arrogance. Too much humility becomes self-neglect. Too much attachment becomes suffering. Wisdom lies not in choosing one pole forever, but in learning when to move between them. Just like a pendulum, life swings. The wise person learns to remain centered while the pendulum moves. Living the law of duality. The next time you experience something you dislike, pause for a second instead of immediately resisting it and ask yourself, what is its opposite? And then, what might this experience be teaching me? And finally, what small steps can move me toward balance? This practice transforms opposition into information. Fear can become courage. Failure can become learning. Anger can become boundaries. Sadness can become compassion. Difficulty can become strength. The goal is not to eliminate the darker half of life. It is to understand that light and shadow belong to the same landscape. The sun creates shadow precisely because there is something standing in its light. Perhaps this is the deeper wisdom of polarity. Do not spend your life fighting one half of existence. Learn to understand the relationship between the two. There is a time for action and there's a time for rest, a time to speak and a time to remain silent, a time to hold on and a time to let go. The mountain needs the valley. The night gives meaning to the dawn. And within the tension of opposites, life continually flows and finds its balance. To understand duality is not to choose side forever. It is to learn the wisdom of the whole. You were never meant to pick sides. You were meant to transcend the illusion that sides exists at all.